There's something about a pop artist who knows not only how to keep us dancing, but how to give us something real, something that makes us think, and something that connects us to ourselves better. I think a lot of people who casually listen to The Weeknd would laugh to hear him described like that. But the true fans already know that his lyrics are something special. While 56% of Starboy is about sex, and 21% of Beauty Behind the Madness is about drugs, I'll explain the numbers in a second, The Weeknd is a master at giving the average pop listener what they want, while still including gems of personal revelation and powerful honesty. If you've never heard of The Weeknd, you've probably at least heard his songs Can't Feel My Face, The Hills, Starboy, or I Feel It Coming. His singles dominate the charts consistently, and it's because of his top-notch ability to curate and create music and lyrics that make us listen. But how does The Weeknd create these lyrics, and what makes his lyrics unique? I teach college-level literature, and I've applied the power of spreadsheets to his first mixtape, House of Balloons, as a control for him as an artist, and to his two most recent pop offerings, Beauty Behind the Madness and Starboy, in an attempt to answer that question. Let's start by analyzing the structure of his songs. Before he became hugely famous, in House of Balloons, his songs favored a verse-chorus structure, or some slight variation thereof. He was hesitant to use bridges and pre-choruses, things he'd need to master to enter the pop arena. As it was, some of his stories were stripped down and simple, without the power and variety of songs that he'd be writing later. In Beauty Behind the Madness, we see him add bridges in 7 of his songs and pre-choruses to 10 of them. But only 3 songs from Beauty Behind the Madness, Real Life, In the Night, and Angel, have both. A combination that many chart-topping artists will agree is a requirement. In 2016, 5 of the 11 #1 songs had both, so it's a good thing for his mainstream career that Starboy came prepared with 8 of 18 songs that had both pre-choruses and bridges. Of those, 6 follow the structure verse, pre-chorus, chorus, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, chorus exactly, what some might consider the ultimate pop blueprint. But when The Weeknd uses this blueprint, he makes it his own. Consistently in his songs, his verses give a context and a story, his pre-choruses raise questions, his choruses answer those questions, and his bridges look at things from another perspective. False Alarm, for instance, one of the most underrated Starboy songs, is about a woman who cares more about wealth and sense experience than an emotional relationship. The verses describe her on a surface level as all red dress with the devil eyes, and tell us that Dollar Bill is her only type. The pre-chorus takes her a step deeper, telling us that her lifestyle is a dark philosophy, and it haunts her constantly. So what does The Weeknd do when he thinks that she or he might be interested in each other? He decides in the chorus that she's a false alarm. But just when you thought final judgment was passed and that she was unredeemable, in the bridge he takes her character even deeper and tells us that she always seems to be alone, but the diamonds make it better. An ironic suggestion that she may be crumbling from within. The Weeknd's take on the pop blueprint is the perfect complement to the way that he provides this deeper look, not only into other people, but also into himself, which we'll see in a second. Of course, attractive women aren't the only topics of The Weeknd's music, even if they are approximately 83% of them. The Weeknd's favored topics appear to be sex, relationships, drugs, money, and personal success. Interestingly, despite the fact that everyone knows him for Can't Feel My Face, which hopefully everyone by now knows is about cocaine, only 17% of the songs I studied were significantly about drug usage. This was lower than his tendency to brag on his own personal success at 24%, but higher than his tendency to talk about his financial status at 12%. Not surprisingly, those latter 2 topics appeared more frequently on Starboy after the success of Beauty Behind the Madness. He actually sang about personal success 6 times more in Starboy than he had in House of Balloons. But the real stars of The Weeknd's lyrics truly are the women who he dates or casually beds. I thought particularly interesting his tendency to talk about the emotional side of a relationship or the sexual side of a relationship, but to rarely discuss both at the same time. He sang about sex in 50% of the songs I studied and discussed the emotional side of things in 52%, but he only discussed them in the same song 21% of the time. And based on the lyrics, his lifestyle seems to dictate the split and to make it natural for him. But the one topic that truly sets The Weeknd apart is what I call his sprinklings of vulnerability. The Weeknd may seem tough and devil may care on the outside, but he still struggles with insecurities like anyone else. Of the 42 songs I studied, 33% contained a small but purposeful crack in the armor. In Wicked Games, as we've heard, he begs help gaining confidence. Can't Feel My Face is him acknowledging his own drug addiction, and Dark Times is him, with the help of Ed Sheeran, explaining why it would be unwise to fall in love with him at the moment. And fans apparently like these sprinklings of vulnerability, because an increased 45% of the most successful of these songs have them. Under the tough guy act that focuses on fast cars, drugs, and rough sex, The Weeknd is telling us, in albeit as cool a way as possible, that he has insecurities and fears too. And if you want to understand how The Weeknd writes lyrics, you're going to have to tap into that part of yourself as well. It's what makes those vulnerable songs interesting. Otherwise, they'd be two-dimensional and pointless, if still not very catchy. Finally, let's talk about the lyrics themselves. The Weeknd, like any pop artist, relies heavily on repetition to hook his listeners and to drive home his points. For comparison, in House of Balloons, 79% of his average song's lyrics are unique, while 21% are repetitions of parts of the 79%. His music gets more repetitive in Beauty Behind the Madness, with only 67% of phrases being unique. And then in Starboy, the amount further reduces to 64%. For reference, Can't Feel My Face is 51% unique with quite a bit of repetition, and Starboy is very unique at 88%. Most of this repetition happens in the hooks, as you can hear in the 7 top performing songs from these albums. You might be tempted to blame this repetition on lazy songwriting, but it's more likely that as The Weeknd has been transitioning from local R&B singer to mainstream pop god, he's had to work hard to purposefully alter his style to fit a pop format, to hook listeners, to keep DJs playing his songs on the radio. Repetition makes songs easy to learn, and listeners like things to be easy when listening to top 40 radio. Another thing The Weeknd has changed to stay in a pop format is the frequency of rhymes in his music. Rhyme gives a sense of closure and completeness to a line, and also helps listeners to learn lyrics quickly. So though House of Balloons earns a 3.2 out of 5 rating for frequency of rhymes, Beauty Behind the Madness increases to a 3.7, and Starboy earns 3.72, showcasing a definitive shift towards rhyming more often. Also significant to this number is how he comes by those rhymes. In House of Balloons, 60% of his songs rely heavily on repetition to create those rhymes, but that number skyrockets to 86% in Starboy with songs like I Feel It Coming, further solidifying his new role as a pop writer. I Feel It Coming rhymes quite a bit, but the lyrics are only 49% unique, which should surprise no one when he rhymes I Feel It Coming with I Feel It Coming 60 times. The final interesting aspect of The Weeknd's songwriting strategies is his secret weapon, the word motherfucker. When you see this word in The Weeknd's music, pay attention. In the 42 songs I analyzed, the word was used 4 times, and in 3 of those instances, it immediately pointed to a sprinkling of vulnerability. In Wicked Games, The Weeknd sings, and that's my motherfucking word too. Just let me motherfucking love you. Right before he begins pleading with a prostitute to help him find confidence by lying that she loves him. In The Hills, he grapples with who he is as a person and as a drug user when he sings, and all these motherfuckers want to relapse. Finally, in Starboy, he brags about his successful but somewhat empty lifestyle before ironically calling himself a motherfucking Starboy and blaming his fans for putting him where he is. Each of these instances suggests that inner The Weeknd has an ironic dislike for who outer The Weeknd is, and I think they represent a rare spot in which Abel Tesfaye, the real name of The Weeknd, peeks out at us from behind the proverbial curtains. His uses of this expletive usually represent a crack in The Weeknd's armor, and they're an important part of how he communicates himself as a whole person, and not just a two-dimensional pop god. These cracks keep an otherwise seamless pop god surface from seeming too perfect and too unrelatable. The Weeknd is powerful as an artist not just because of where he succeeds with his pop structure, his storytelling methods, or his catchy hooks, but perhaps more so because of where he wants us to know that he fails. Make something perfect, put a few dents in it, and then be honest about it. That's how The Weeknd writes lyrics. Hey everybody, Clifford Stummy, the Pop Song Professor here. Thanks so much for watching this video. The fact that you're still here means that you're either asleep or that you maybe liked what you saw here. If that's the case, don't forget to subscribe, comment your thoughts on this. What was the biggest thing that surprised you out of this video? And what artist should I do a huge explanation of, like this next? I'm super excited to do more like intense videos like this, and I hope that you guys stick around. Thanks for watching.